This is it. We're plumb full everywhere.
The only extra space is on Aaron's lap.
Yeah. Are you glad we got a tent?
It is go time. We are planning to leave in 5 days. We have 5 days to get everything wrapped up, put together, and on the road. And that includes today, and it's almost noon. We are still in Florida. It's a sweltering 90 degrees. Aaron is starting to battle the electrical system, so he's outside in the heat, and I'm inside trying to take care of some indoor stuff, which I'm gonna give you a little rundown on what we're dealing with. As you know, we had our RV, we had our Airstream Interstate van, and we had all those belongings. We still have them with us. We've been moving them around. We are no longer in the condo that was a rental condo for us when we got out of the van. We are now moved into a house where we are guests. This is not our home. We are grateful to be here and have access to the facilities. It's really much easier for Aaron to do projects in somebody's driveway rather than a parking lot. If anybody's tried to do work at like Home Depot or Walmart, it's not fun. So we're grateful for the driveway. We're grateful for this house to sprawl our stuff out. It's a disaster right now. And my biggest mission is to try to get everything packed into these totes. We got them at Home Depot, and they are going to go in the back of our truck bed. So the totes will help protect from water and moisture and dirt and stuff that's going to get in there. That is inevitable. So what I need to do is to try to get these organized with thoughts of usability, functionality in mind. So I'm gonna try to go through our things and strip away items that are more of a deep storage versus items that are like day-to-day need to grab and go, so it doesn't get frustrating for us. I started with one tote. I have 1 out of the 4 filled. The other 3 are empty. We do have a lot of stuff. It doesn't look like much in here because I took a lot out of the boxes already. I just wanted to break some of the garbage down, but we have stuff scattered everywhere. And this is just part of the process of, in order to do it properly rather than just cramming everything in and having it be a disaster. These are the everyday items we use in the kitchen that we plan on having front and center in the truck. We're going to do our coffee setup as usual. We love the pour over method, and we will be able to do that since we're going to have an electrical system. We picture our meals to be cold meals for breakfast and cold meals for lunch. So that means maybe some protein shakes and some protein bars, and I really don't have an issue eating cold chicken or cold cooked food, so that's gonna be probably my go-to, is just eating cold stuff. And then at night, we will be using our Blackstone, ideally, assuming that the weather allows. Wind is a big issue for the Blackstone, so we need to make sure it's not windy. I mean, we can't control that, but that's what we're gonna be juggling. We are planning to get another clam tent, so that's gonna be helpful. We love our clam tent. We're excited to have it back. I don't know when it's gonna get here, hopefully within the next 5 days. And our fridge, we are going to use this Bouge RV 43 liter. They did send this to us to test and try out, so we will be using it, and after we use it for some time, we'll give a review on it. Right now, we're just playing around and making sure it works with bubbly water, of course. But this is gonna be the main storage for our food, all of our meats and vegetables, and a tiny bit of water in there. It's tight, but it's a good thing I have experience with tiny fridges. I did play around in there, and I am able to fit in these containers that I love. So I'm really happy that they fit in that fridge. 1, because I want to use them, and 2, because one less thing to store. If I'm actually using them in the fridge, they won't be sitting in a box somewhere. So I'm going to be working on packing and sorting and just getting organized. Aaron's going to be working on the electrical build.
Here's the final test fit. Looks like we have all the components ready. So here I'm just trying to kind of move it a little bit before things get mounted down onto the board. And then also I'm gonna go into my head And imagine the wires being connected from each point, you know, positive to the positive bus bar, to the positive fuse panel, negative over here from the battery to the negative. It's got to go to the negative shunt first and then to the negative bus bar. So things got to kind of get moved around, and make sure your lengths, and you can kind of just imagine how the wires are going to be able to fit. And then the DC-to-DC charger needs to go to the fuse, which runs up to the front of the truck on the chassis battery. And then the inverter, same deal, is going to go to the positive and negative bus bars, or because these cables are sometimes bigger, I might go right to the negative shunt and to the positive switch over here. But here you can just kind of lay it all out and then start making cables and start making the connections.
And another thing that I'm also working on is some route planning, which already I'm frustrated. One thing that we did with the van was we never really planned at all. We loved that we could just drive it without an ETA, without having a destination. We would just drive. When we were sick of driving or getting tired, we would just park it somewhere like at Walmart or Cracker Barrel. It was super easy to do that. Well, you can't do that so much with a truck on top of your tent on top of your truck. So I don't know, I'm a little stressed out just because I've never really been the planner, but it's fun. I'm excited to learn it. And right now we're planning our trip to the Smokies. So that's the first place we're looking at, which gets a little bit more complicated with the national park systems involved. But that's another thing that we're looking at, because in 5 days we need to know where we're sleeping, and we need to be a bit more buttoned up on our planning. So that's what we're dealing with now, is route planning, packing, electrical system, and getting the final pieces together for our truck, which are trickling in. It is now 6:19. I've been chipping away in here, and I filled up my second bin. I got my kitchen tote done. This tote is going to be like our every single day use. So I tried to pick out my most used kitchen items. The good news is, in the kitchen department, we did not really need to buy anything in like addition to what we already have. I'll show you the one thing that we did buy though, and that is these little silicone pop-up water containers. I don't know what the technical word is for them, but we think we will need them for washing dishes. So we can get some hot water using our tea kettle, and then we got 2 of them, one for washing and one for rinsing. Besides from that, in our kitchen tote, I have, of course, my spices, some utensils, some soap, some plates, some rags, red rags for like paper towel stuff, some bowls. We do have our induction down there, some skillets, some paper plates. It's like a classic camping tote. It reminds me of my tent camping days, which is appropriate because that's what we're doing. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. And that bin I'm going to leave completely open for Aaron's tools, which he is using. I have no idea how much space he needs, but I'm leaving that one for him. And I started in on this one with my Lee Creuset because I don't plan to use that much, our dehumidifier, and it won't take me too long to fill this up at all. I am taking diligent notes in my phone so I can search for items as I need them. And then I did tidy up our coffee station, so everything's now in this little basket that we can pull this out in the morning and make coffee really easily without having to dig into the giant tote in the back. I also got some reservations booked. I got 3 spots at Smoky Mountain National Park, and the dilemma is, do we do a tent site or do we do a motorhome site? Because a lot of the tent sites, they require you to park somewhere and then pitch a tent on a specific tent pad that is not by your car. And it's a rule that you have to put your tent there. So that really is a conundrum for us, and we're gonna try going in as an RV, as a motorhome, and see if that flies. And the good news is we're just staying like one night here, and then we're bouncing somewhere else and going one night there, and then going somewhere else one night there. So if we do have an issue anywhere, it's like, hey, it's one night, what should we do in the future type of a deal. I did call some ranger stations within the park, and I did not get any calls back to address my question of the rooftop tent. So I really just didn't know what to do. We are 5 days out, so I had to just call an audible and book it. So I got it done. We're also going to be trying out some hip camp stuff. Unfortunately, there's not too much boondocking over on the East Coast where we are. Of course, we would love to get out and do that, and we are looking forward to get back on the West Coast, but we really are excited to get into the Rockies, or the Smokies, not the Rockies, the Great Smoky Mountains. That is where we are headed, and we are getting closer. We're at 4 days left on the countdown, 4 days to get ready, and this is gonna be a big day for Aaron doing the electric system again. He is going to cram away out there, so we're having breakfast now, and we're about to get into it. I'm still organizing and stuff, and one of the things I'm doing in efforts to minimize weight and clutter and simplify cooking is I'm creating some spice mixes that I can use, because a lot of the spices that I carried on board were pretty unique to certain recipes that I make over and over. My top 2 favorite recipes are my beef taco seasoning and my turkey sausage patties. I like to make my own turkey sausage patties using lean turkey and spices that I like. So these are some of the spices that I used up: sage, thyme, ginger is getting pretty low, and then also some of my bulk salt, bulk garlic. I used a lot of bulk paprika and cumin. A lot of the bulk spices that I had anyway that I didn't really want to throw away, so I just combined them up. And then this is what my turkey sausage looks like. I did 2 versions. That one's mixed up. This one's not mixed yet. One with fennel and one without, because Aaron's not a fan of fennel, but I love it. So that's the plan. I'm gonna plan on making some of these when we hit the road, and then it'll be something that I can do once a week when we are fresh on groceries and I can load them up. 2 days out. We have 2 days till we hit the road bright and early, and today's halfway over, so it's really a day and a half.
Days go by quick when you're busy.
How's the truck project?
It's good. It's slow. It's slow going. I thought it was going to be easier. I don't know, because it was a smaller system and it just seemed like it would be something that's easier, but I think because it's a complete mini system, it's actually more difficult, and it's working on something I've never worked on before, running all these different wires through the truck, and so all that is adding some extra time to it.
Well, I will say that your stress level today is lower than it was yesterday and the day before.
At the beginning, it was really high because I couldn't start, because I was having all these roadblocks where I just needed somewhere to mount these components to, and I couldn't figure it out. So without mounting it, I couldn't start, and then I got frustrated. And so as each day gets, further and further, and stuff happens more and more, like we're getting closer to the end of it. So that's good.
So we're packing into the truck tonight, and then tomorrow, our very last day here, we need to give Aaron a haircut. I need to clean the house. I need to do laundry. We need to do Amazon returns. We need to go to Walmart. Need to pick up our license plates for the truck.
We're battling with Ford because they don't want to give us our plates, and they think we owe them money, and we think they owe us money, and
it's a debacle.
It's a fiasco.
So the plates are Minnesota registered, which is causing an issue because Florida sent in all the paperwork to Minnesota. I'm not going to get into the details, but it is a debacle. Some things are messed up, and now we're kind of like in a feud about these license plates that we need. We can't drive across the country with expired temp plates.
I'll say there were some errors that were made, and I don't know if it was the DMV in Minnesota or if it was the title company that the Ford dealership was using, but there's errors that were made in there, and it looks like something was overcharged, and the Ford dealership is just straight up coming after us saying, you owe us this money. And when I ask why, and they can't explain it very well at all, and so then I start digging into it, and it's pretty simple when you start looking at the numbers that, okay, here's where the mistake was. We actually had to call Minnesota and figure this all out for them, and now we're trying to explain that all to Ford, and they're just not they're not getting it at all. Very, very piss poor customer service after the fact.
So that is a threat right now. That's really the only thing that's making me sweat.
Yeah.
But
the 90-degree humidity is making me sweat.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, we're trucking along though. I'm excited to pack up that truck, and we'll get into that later. But first, I'm gonna show you the boring proteins and vegetables that I'm going to prepare for our future meals.
Tasty.
The cooler we have to work with. Top shelf. Top shelf is a little bit colder than the big shelf area. I'm not making sense of my words today, so just bear with me. But pretty minimal stuff up here, things we don't want to spoil, like meat, so water, protein bars that need to be refrigerated. We have too many protein bars, but we'll burn through them. And then I got these totes in here. This is what we're gonna be using, these Rubbermaids that I love. And now I know how many I can work with. So basically I'm just gonna fill all these up, and we're gonna prioritize vegetables and proteins, like always. So this big one is gonna be fresh meat, and then these little ones are gonna be vegetables, and I am gonna do some pre-cooked meat because you know how I feel about pre-cooked protein. It is very important to prep your food. These are the veggies I got: green beans, snap peas, broccoli, multiples of them because they are our favorites. We're gonna fill up half of these containers with the veggies, the other half with cooked meats, and then the raw meats in here. This is all the meat we got, lots of chicken and some turkey. And again, we'll be cooking half of this stuff and keeping half of it raw because we're gonna be having cold lunches for lunches, cold meals for lunches, and hot meals for dinner. Easiest food prep ever is on a grill. And it tastes the best too. I'm all finished. Well, I'm not all finished, but I'm getting closer. I have my raw meats here that I labeled and have prepped so I don't have to touch anything or cut anything. It's ready to put on the grill. I have cooked meats here. These are thighs. I like to cook those thighs because they stay a little more moist, better than the breasts do. And then these are all veg. I couldn't fit all 3 bags into one container like I thought I could, so I have 1 bag of beans and 1 bag of pea pods that we'll take in the car at room temp and we'll munch on day 1 of our trip. And now I know that these containers fit exactly 16 ounces, 2 of these bags. Normally I shop at Costco and I get the big bags, so my quantities are a little bit off. I had to kind of relearn on these containers again.
Good morning. We have
morning.
finally made it to our departure day, leaving Florida.
Woohoo! It feels like we've been here for way too long. It was good, but feels too long for sure.
Yeah, summertime here in Florida was great. We had at least 1 full week of non-humidity, and it was just wonderful in 80s. And now it's like low 90s and super humid every single day, which just makes it tough to be outside more than the morning or the evening.
And a lot of intermittent storms.
Yeah, so we're excited to get on our way headed north and find a little bit cooler temperatures for sure.
Yeah, so we're heading off to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It's been a while since we've been to a national park, especially on the east side of the country, so we're excited. And this morning, we have a lot to do.
6:22.
6:22. We've been up for over an hour, and it's time to finally pack up the truck. And then that's gonna take a while. We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, ideally we should have done all of this yesterday, but we were just still kind of collecting the last few minutes of everything. I was still finishing the electrical install, and so we just didn't have time. I mean, you
were working till 8 p.m. last night, so we just said, let's just call it, get up early, and try to be on the road between 8 and 9 a.m. So that's our challenge. Can we pack up and clean the house and polish some sunscreen off the truck within like an hour and a half?
We only have 4 giant totes, so as soon as those all go in, we'll be able to pack the rest of the crap all around it, and it should go pretty smoothly.
7:27.
Yeah, I feel like we've done nothing. Ready?
We're about to do something.
You ready to push?
Yeah.
Keep going. These rubber mats are working well.
Yeah. Smells clean in here.
Push. 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 And that's a wrap. Look at the back. I can't believe it, but every single thing fit. Look at this. So at least for the back, we're done. So I'll show you the electrical system, which I'm like 95% done with. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. It took a little bit longer. I'm gonna have fun doing kind of videos explaining on what everything is. But it turned out great. And you know, there's still some things I wanna do with tidying up, maybe some wires, maybe adding some type of plexi cover on this, just to kind of make sure nothing gets back there. But otherwise, it's gonna be hidden most of the time by the seat like this. And I do have to worry about this DC to DC charger. It's supposed to be mounted vertically, but I just didn't have anywhere to do that, so I have to watch that for heat. But we have 12 volt here. There's a 12 volt on the other side that we're gonna use for the fridge. And then I also did a 12 volt plug right there to the tent. I was gonna add a couple more. I just ran out of time to do that. All this kind of took a little bit longer than I thought it was gonna. But we're gonna drive like this. The little seat over there is gonna be up because the cooler is gonna be there. And then we're gonna pack stuff here, and on top of the seats. So. The bike rack setup is going to be similar to the van. It's kind of nice. The tailgate goes down once the bikes are off. It lays flat, no interference with the rack. You can tilt the rack down a little bit, but when the bikes are on it, I think you could just pop the tailgate open a little bit, maybe enough to just get the tonneau cover off, I think, which is kind of nice because then you can roll it up and get it out from the sides. But that's the setup.
Hey, we made it out. We're on schedule. We didn't lose any days, and I'm really proud about that.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
It's all good.
We got a big, long drive. But that's good. We're gonna get gas, and this thing's fuel range is like, I don't know, once we get on the freeway, it might be like 600 plus miles, so we don't have to get gas a lot. That's the good thing, or diesel. The bad thing is that we gotta pee a lot, so we're gonna have to stop 18 times anyways, but we love those rest areas.
Oh, we love those rest areas. If it's raining like this when we land at our destination, do we just set up in the rain? And then what? Bring dry clothes in there and change in the tent? Is that how it's gonna go down?
We're gonna find out. This is an adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah, I think it is. It really is. And starting on day one, leaving late, it's raining. The ground's gonna, well, we don't know if it's raining where we're going, but the ground might be kind of wet if this rain is done. just gonna have to get better at checking radar and stuff.
We'll be fine as long as it's not doing this, like right when we're trying to set up. We'll be fine. As long as there's a break, we'll be able to set it up and we'll be able to be dry inside.
Another good reason to show up early is so you can wait stuff out, right?
Yeah. We are 10 minutes out from this long driving day. It's been a good, pretty fast drive, much better than the van would have been a lot slower. We were able to kind of just power through and hit the rest stops. But this is our first hip camp, and now that we're tent camping, hip camp is going to be our new Cracker Barrel / Harvest Host, because they allow you to have tents and you can book it online, and you know, there's all different types of locations, costs, and all that.
Yeah, you can be a true camper versus the self-contained requirement that Harvest Host has. And that's our biggest dilemma, is what are we? Because we can't just book a regular tent site that you need to go park your car and walk to. And we're not an RV, so we're like a crossbreed where either site booking could easily kick us out and say, no, you can't stay here.
Yeah, this will be very interesting because, yeah, a lot of tent sites, you pull up to like, you know, a little parking spot and then you have to walk maybe, whatever, 50 yards, sometimes it's farther, to your tent pad or your tent site, where we need the parking spot to be our tent site, like an RV site.
Yeah, we can't just relocate our tent.
Yeah, so when we get to Thousand Trails, that's going to be really interesting because, you know, a lot of those are RV sites, and hopefully they don't care. I mean, we should be able to just roll up into an RV site.
Yeah.
And plop our truck tent down. But
yeah, it's all going to be learning curves on who lets us pass as which or what, and figure out how our classification is going to affect our camping.
Yeah, so we're in Georgia now. We drove all the way from South Florida all the way into Georgia, and we're now about 20 minutes off 75, and it's very lush and green. And
it's nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little campground we're going to. It's $10 and it's right by a creek. It sounds magical. We're gonna get there with a little bit of daylight, at least to get the tent up, and hopefully we'll be able to grill a little bit of dinner.
Yeah, so we drove 9 hours almost today, 450 miles. And this was our big first road trip with the truck.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun, super comfortable to drive. And we did good gas mileage.
Mile, continue straight on to Georgia 125 North.
Our average is 19.2.
Pretty good.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, almost 20 miles per gallon in the diesel. And we're gonna enjoy that. That's pretty good.
As soon as we get to the site, we're gonna hop out and scramble to get set up so that we can soak up every moment of daylight.
Continue on Georgia
so that we can enjoy a little bit of the camping.
miles.
Yeah, we'll be there in just a couple minutes.